Okay, let's get started. Today's session is all about leveraging your affiliates and your affiliate relationships in order to increase your database and increase your lead sourcing. Now, we all talk about the fact that we've got a preferred lender, or maybe we've got preferred escrow company, title company. And many of us make this kind of a huge mistake in that we become really exclusive with just this one person. I give all this person my lending business, all this person my lending business. Well, let me ask you a pretty simple question. If you take a look at the lenders that you're giving lending business to, how many of those people are giving you listing leads or buyer leads? And how many of those people are you working together with in order to form a partnership where you're developing follow-up strategies? Because here's the thing, you're not in competition with a lender unless you're a lender. And you're not in competition with a title company. You're not in competition with escrow company. You're not in competition with a home inspector. You're certainly not in competition with an appraiser, although that's probably a little bit more difficult to nurture that relationship. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of other real estate professionals that are in the profession that are touching people that own homes, that buy homes, and that sell homes. This segment is all about how do you develop and leverage better strategies around building leads and developing better relationships when it comes to affiliate prospecting. So let's start with the low-hanging fruit in the obvious, the elephant in the room, right? Lenders. If you're a realtor, how frequently do you get approached by a lender and saying, "Hey, we got interest rates. We got interest rate. We got a loan program. We got interest rates. We got a loan program." Well, the odds are really good if you've been in business any length of time and your email address appears anywhere on the internet associated with real estate, you're getting all kinds of spam from all kind of mortgage lenders that says, "Hey, we got this great situation and I'm a great lender and we got interest rates. We get interest rates." Well, hello, what mortgage lender doesn't have interest rates? They all do. Now, my question is, are they willing to work with you? Are they willing to participate with you in a legitimate business development conversation? So the first thing I kind of want you to set aside is I don't really want you to be exclusive or have this exclusivity with any mortgage lender. What I'd prefer that you do is that you partner with a bunch of mortgage lenders if this is your preferred method of prospecting, right? If you're an affiliate prospector, I want you to make relationships with a bunch of mortgage lenders. And here's the thing. The sort of problems that they have in their business are very similar to the sort of problems you have in your business. And so the things that you have figured out in your business, you can easily help or coach a mortgage lender over the same hurdles that you've been dealing with. So the first one is basic database management or database administration. I coach a lot of mortgage lenders and realtors, and I'll tell you, I run across a lot of mortgage lenders who they might be, they kind of fall into a few categories. They might be captive in a big organization like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, U.S. Home Loan, all these things, at which point the sort of technology tools that are at their disposal are very, very limited to what they can actually do with a person in that database. The other mortgage lenders are maybe independent contractors and they run the front end of their house, and then they have files processed in the back end of a house. They place it with a money source, mortgage broker, right? Those people have really good software in place to be able to do underwriting and assess, generate a needs list. What are the deficiencies in this customer when it comes to crafting a mortgage? But when it comes to marketing and when it comes to keeping track of these customers, what kind of software packages do these mortgage lenders have in place? And the answer is it's pretty skinny. And even though there is technology out there, a lot of them just blow it off. They just don't do it. So what I would submit for your consideration is a simple phone call, and maybe someone's been trying to get your mortgage business for a while, and you take them to coffee. They're going to be excited because they're like, "Oh my God, a realtor returned my phone call. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. The crops, they're saved." And so you go to coffee with this mortgage guy, and the mortgage guy has all this material. "Oh, I do this and this." And you say, "Well, whoa, wait. Here's my question. My question to you, Mr. Mortgage Lender, is how do you keep track of all of the people that you've ever done a mortgage for?" And then you're going to get crickets, because most mortgage lenders don't really see themselves in a place where they're getting repeat business. They get referral business, but they don't develop it really well necessarily. And what they're doing is they're all about lead gen, lead gen, lead gen. I'm going to get it and go, get it and go, get it and go, get it and go. But the truth of the matter is, if you take a look at a mortgage lender who's been at it for any amount of time and they've done, a couple hundred mortgages over the course of their career, the truth of the matter is there are people in that database who are selling their house. And the only way the mortgage lender is going to know about that is if he partner with you, because you have better follow-up methodologies. I recommend that you do a very simple program with the lender, and that is, Mr. Lender, please, here's what I do. On the anniversary of a transaction closing, I send out a market snapshot with all of my past customers. Now, I'd like to be able to do that with you as well. Would it be okay? Maybe we could partner together. And on the anniversary of a closing, what I do is I send out a very simple market snapshot to your database. Now, the thing is, I'm not a lender, so that shouldn't be a threat, number one. Number two, if someone's thinking about selling their home and getting a replacement property, they clearly might need a mortgage. And if this mortgage lender's not disciplined in their habit of following up, what have they just done? You have now created an outsourced follow-up solution for this mortgage lender. Now, here's the only rule. If somebody in that person's database is going to go ahead and list their house with you, or they're going to go look for a replacement property, or they're going to be a buyer for you, I think ethically and regularly what you should do is make sure that you say, oh yeah, you know what? The lender that you've used before is fantastic. I think, we work together, yada, yada, yada. So do yourself a favor. Don't go snaking. Don't take that and flip it in for another lender, right? So respect the database of the person that you're working with. This is how I can maybe get into this relationship with 25 or 30 mortgage lenders at a time. They're all in my CRM. They're all in my database, and I have segregated databases for their clients. If someone calls me and they say, hey, I got your information, I'd like to go ahead and list my house, I usually source it by asking, oh, how'd you hear about me? Oh, I got your piece in the email. And I'm like, oh, great. Which one was that? Right? Oh, it was you and my old lender, Buddy Sixpack. I'm like, great. Buddy and I work together. I'll let him know that we spoke. And when would you like me to come by and do an assessment on your property? And bada boom, bada bang. I'm setting an appointment for a listing appointment. Simultaneously, I'm going to call my mortgage lender up who sourced the lead originally. I'm not going to give him any money. There's no kickback here. There's no money exchanging hands. What this is two professionals working a database in tandem. Two professionals working a database in tandem. Now, here's what's crazy. What's crazy is if you go into like a Wells Fargo branch or a bank branch, and a lot of times the mortgage lenders are on a rotation, and that means they have to do a certain amount of desk time in that location, even though they can they're probably working from home or whatever, but once in a while they got to show up somewhere in a branch. Here's what's crazy. How many mortgage lenders are sitting in the branch taking in loan applications? So let's say you get all these loan applications. How many of those loan applications actually fund, right? So last year we took in 500 loan applications. I'm like, oh, that's great. How many of those people actually funded? How many loans did you actually process? Well, we did 500 applications. Looks like we funded maybe about 15 or 20, 50 deals, 30 deals, 40 deals, whatever the number is. Let me tell you, there's a huge amount of pre-qualified people or people who have filled out a mortgage application who didn't end up funding or getting a mortgage secured that year that they filled out the application. Why? Because there might have been an obstacle for the mortgage. Maybe they had a credit issue. Maybe they were saving money for a down payment. Maybe they just lost momentum. Maybe they couldn't find the right property at the right price, right? Because they weren't working with the right realtor. Maybe they weren't working with a realtor at all. This is my point. How many leads are mortgage lenders sitting on that, in fact, would purchase if, in fact, they had the right relationship with the right realtor? My goodness, that number is huge. And I recommend you going not and talking to an individual loan officer in a branch at a big bank or big lender. What I want you to do is I want you to talk to the manager. Talk to the manager and say you've got a program specifically in place to rejuvenate old and stale mortgage applications, right? Old and stale mortgage applications. And then walk them through how you'll be able to possibly market to those people. Now, I know there's all this, big companies have big rules. They're like, well, I don't want you sending an email or making a phone call to anyone. Oh, God forbid I should send an email or make a phone call to someone to do a deal. But you're going to find people who are going to want to play ball with you. Low-hanging fruit. There's database out there that's not being administered correctly. They're not getting repeat and referral business because they're not working their past deals. Get in that fight. I guarantee it's going to work. All right, got that? Fine. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to create a preferred vendor list, but I've got some rules and some guidelines around there. Number one, I want that preferred vendor list to exist and live on your website, on your agent website. And if you don't have the blog section activated in your website, go ahead and talk to someone, whoever manages your website, activate the blog section. I want your preferred vendor list to be in there because in a blog, you can separate your blog posts out in terms of category. And so you're going to have a bunch of categories inside this blog section. And what you're doing here is you're going to make these little tiny promotional pieces for a vendor that you think is amazing, and preferably someone who's highly localized in your neighborhood and in your marketplace. And so as a real estate professional, it's kind of hoped or assumed that you're a neighborhood expert. Do you know the best dry cleaners? Do you know the best Italian restaurant, the best steakhouse? So don't laugh, but these people are vendors. These people are affiliates, possibly. The relationships that you make with all the other business owners in your neighborhood, it doesn't necessarily have to be real estate related. However, you're going to have a food section, you're going to have a services section, you're going to have home improvement vendors like the best painter in town, right? Here's the best painter. Do you need a drywaller? Do you need drywall repair? Do you need dog walking? Here, it's not real estate related, but it's lifestyle related. If you care about your customers, if you care about your market, and you're an expert in your market, you should be able to speak authoritatively on the lifestyle of your market. So you're having all these different categories. Take some time and start writing them out. Now, there's a couple of categories a lot of agents don't think about. And number one on that list in my world is architects. So if you're in the luxury real estate space, if you're selling luxury homes or you aspire to get into the luxury space, a great affiliate partner for you to pursue are high-end residential designers and architects, period. So I was incredibly fortunate, and I've had a deep database in Southern California for some of the best luxury residential architects in the country are in Southern California. And so count it not interesting that sometimes before someone builds a $10 million or a $20 million estate, it takes them a long time to get to the place financially where they can do that. And maybe it's an aspirational thing that happens for a chief executive officer of a large company. And now we finally made it. And now we're going to go ahead and spend a couple $100,000 on architecture. And so what they do is they'll have these plans and they go to their architect and they start crafting out their dream. It doesn't mean that they're making that transaction today. It doesn't mean they're buying a home site and going vertical today. What it means is they put up a couple of bucks and they're talking to an architect to start crafting out what that dream home is going to look like at some point in the future. Now, it's been my experience that architects are not the best business development people on the planet. They're like a combination between engineer and artist. And so they don't necessarily have great marketing or business acumen to actually find new customers. They're really good at what they do, but they're like marketing's not their thing, right? Well, turns out that's your thing. So guess what? Wouldn't it be great to have an event for some architects or be able to go introduce yourself to an architect and say, gosh, I know you've been in business and you're well revered in the community. I'm a broker in this area. I've actually seen a lot of the homes that you've designed over the years, and they're incredibly impressive. It's always a joy for me to be able to represent someone when they want to purchase a home that you've designed. Now, I've always been met with amazing, like, oh my gosh, that's wonderful, right? Why? It's because these people are not well sung heroes, right? They're not promoted. They're not out in the public eye. And so when someone recognizes their work, recognizes what they've done, it usually leaves a pretty big impact. And this follows into the relationship. And the relationship is this. Gosh, I have a lot of luxury buyers and sellers. I know that you probably do a lot of design work for a variety of different clients. And, I'm just curious, do you know anyone who's specifically fixing their property up to rehab it to sell it? Or do you have anyone who's aspirationally looking to build a custom home? Because I have access to some pretty incredible home sites all over. Just depends on what they're looking for. Oh, really? Yes. And so sometimes it helps if you approach an architect with a land listing that either is your listing, right? Or you have permission to talk about that listing with somebody else. You're promoting it. Make sure you get permission, because if it's a unique piece of dirt, architects love that, right? Because oh my gosh, this is amazing. And what direction would you put the house? Well, I'd like to have it face south. Oh, great, good for you. Facing the ocean, like whatever it does. And now you're in like a product communication, and you're being brought in as kind of an expert, right? Now, another thing that happens, and you have information the architect doesn't have. Now, just because the architect might want to build something in a certain way, and they might want to do it to a certain spec that's in the blueprint, and the engineer, and maybe the customer has feelings about what they want to see. You're an expert. You're in the market, and you have access to something called trend analysis. Gosh, you know what? In the 90s, everyone's house looked Tuscan. All these custom homes look Tuscan. And then something changed. If you're really in that market and you understand that market, you're interacting with architects, what you can do is exchange professional wisdom about where the market's headed and what's happening and what are the best practices and what are people really looking for now. Don't underestimate the importance of putting together this affiliate preferred vendor list, and don't neglect the little people in that list, right? Where's the best place to get pizza, right? It's in your blog section. You've segregated that by category, so someone can easily go in there and click on it. Use chat or use OpenAI to write a summary or write something interesting about it. Then, more importantly, I want you to go and talk to that business owner and say, "Gosh, I want to let you know, I love your business. I love your service. I'm a realtor in the area. I'd love to have the ability to promote your company in my online blog. Would that be okay?" Well, 10 times out of 10, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, that's amazing. Great. No cost, no obligation. I love what you do. And I want to make sure that I can help you get as much business as possible." Gives you an opportunity to have a conversation with that person again and again and again. Oh, and by the way, I am in real estate, yada, yada, yada. The more of these relationships you make, the higher the likelihood is you're going to snatch a lead out of referral. You're going to be able to tap into their database. This happens with painters and landscapers, like I said, architects. What are the preferred fun things to do, hyper-local in your location? Again, this lives in your website. It's a blog. It's set out by categories. And guess what? After you craft that article out, what can you do? You share that article on social media out of your website, which forces people back to your website when they click on the story. All right, that's it. We're coming up on time. Time flies when you're having fun. If you're struggling putting together a really good affiliate prospecting methodology, and it can be complicated, or maybe it's just a big, huge elephant, you just got to eat it one bite at a time. If you have any questions, anything at all, please go grab 15 minutes on my calendar. I'd love nothing better than to hear a little bit about how you're prospecting in your business, and I look forward to helping you in any way that I can.